This family had no idea they were moving into a haunted house until they started seeing ghosts. I'm your host, and I'll be reading from a Reddit user. I moved into my first house a few months ago with my partner and our 2 kids. It was a great deal, a little isolated, but it was cheap and we could use the extra cash for renovations. The house is old, and we knew that going in. What we didn't know was just how many previous owners had lived there before us. On moving day, we were taking pictures to remember the moment. That's when my 8-year-old daughter noticed something strange. Scratched into the wall was the name Lucy, and what looked like a heart. My daughter said, "Who's Lucy?" I shrugged and said, "I don't know. Maybe she was a former owner's daughter." We figured it was probably best not to disturb whatever was left behind by the previous owners. So we just put up the pictures and covered the heart with a nail hole. Later that evening, I was putting the kids to bed while my partner unpacked in the living room. I heard my son scream, "Mommy, help me." He was sitting on his bed crying, and the blankets were pulled tight around him. I asked him what was wrong, and he told me that someone or something was trying to get in his closet. He was adamant that the door was closed, but he was too scared to check. I went with him, of course, and even though I couldn't find anything, I ended up leaving the door open for the rest of the night, because I was afraid of what might happen if I closed it. The next morning I told my partner what had happened, and he laughed, chalking it up to an overactive imagination. Little did he know, this was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, strange things started happening all over the house. Footsteps in the middle of the night, whispers in the hallways, and objects moving from one room to another. I even saw the silhouette of a woman standing at the foot of our bed one night. My partner still refused to believe that we were being haunted, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. I went back to the room where we found the inscription on the wall and checked everywhere for more markings. That's when I found them. Dozens of names, initials, and what seemed to be coordinates carved into the plaster. There were also drawings of hands, feet, animals, maybe even a bird or two. Some of the etchings looked like they could have been made by children. All of them were hidden in places where the previous owners most likely wouldn't have seen them. Behind dressers, under beds, above doors. My partner finally admitted that there was something strange going on when he found a carving in the bathroom that looked exactly like his own handwriting. We tried everything to stop the haunting. Salt, holy water, even an exorcism. Nothing worked. And I was starting to think that we would never get a break from the ghosts. Then I found her diary. It took me a while to track it down, but eventually I found a small, intricately carved wooden box in the attic. Inside was a leather-bound book with a lock and key. The key was hanging from a ribbon bookmark. I took it downstairs to try and decipher the writing. It was old, very old, but with some effort I was able to make out the words. She wrote about her life, her dreams, her hopes for the future. She wrote about the friends she made at school and the chores her father made her do. She even wrote about a secret admirer who carved his initials into her bedroom wall. Her final entry told a different story. It spoke of a darkness that was growing inside her. A darkness that whispered to her every night, telling her that she wasn't loved, that she would never be happy, that she would never be enough. It told of a monster that was taking over her body, a monster that wanted to hurt the people she loved the most. The last thing she wrote was a plea for help, a cry for mercy that echoed through the empty halls. It took me a long time to piece together what had happened here, but eventually I learned the truth. This house hadn't just been a home, it had been a prison. Lucy and her father had been held captive here by a man who had taken them hostage. He had tortured them, starved them, and forced them to watch each other suffer. When the police finally raided the house, they found the man dead, Lucy missing, and her father barely clinging to life. The father had told them that Lucy had escaped, but the truth was much darker. The man had killed Lucy and then carved her name and heart symbol into the wall as a trophy. He had done the same thing to the other girls, taking them hostage, torturing them, and killing them. Only their names remain, scratched into walls, hidden in attics, buried in backyards. I felt sick to my stomach after reading her diary. I don't want to throw it away. I don't want to forget her or the other girls. At the same time, I can't bear to read her words. I can't bear to hear her voice. I've tried talking to the ghosts, but they won't speak to me. They only whisper to each other, their voices echoing through the empty halls. I hope that one day they'll find peace. Hope that one day we can find peace. Until then, we're trapped here with them, prisoners in our own home.